Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center. Man, as you can see by the title, man, we're going to be taking a look at the Derek Carr. We're going to be analyzing the Derek Carr situation at the New Orleans Saints. So we're going to get straight into this video. So I seen that they're saying that Derek Carr is expected to miss all of the 2025 season, which I thought that we signed Derek Carr for a 2-year deal. I thought that this year was going to be his last year, which I think us signing Derek Carr. And I'm going to be honest with you guys completely. I'm going to be all the way 100. Originally, I was okay with Derek Carr, right? I didn't watch Derek Carr too much at Las Vegas, but in my mind, I just knew that Jameis Winston wasn't the answer. Jameis Winston is, he's not a bad player, put it like that. I was watching Inside the NFL this year, and I was able to kind of get a look at his mindset in terms of football knowledge. And, man, Jameis Winston knows the game, so I can't take that away from him. But at the end of the day, it's more than just knowing the game that goes into winning. A lot of times it's execution for one, but then also decision making. And as we know, Jameis Winston is a walking turnover machine. So it's just I wasn't confident in those gotta have it moments and those gotta have it situations to think that he was the future. You look at what went on with him at Tampa Bay. You leave from Tampa Bay, bring Brady on. The very next year they win the Super Bowl. Now, granted, it was a couple pieces that was added that was brought along, like Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, I think, a few offensive linemen or whatever the case may be. But for the most part, that team was already there before Brady got there. That just shows you the importance of consistent quarterback play, right? So it was moments and it was spurts where some people might say, okay, Jameis Winston looked good. Now, when we was under Sean Payton, obviously, right? Sean Payton is a phenomenal offensive mind. He's a phenomenal head coach. So Sean Payton was able to design things that it took away from the thinking, I feel like, and for Jameis Winston to minimize him. So he didn't have the green light completely to just go out there and air the ball out. Obviously, most people say, okay, well, look at the 1 year he threw 30 touchdowns for 5,000 yards, but he also threw 30 interceptions as well. So you a lot of times you're not thinking about when those interceptions came, what moment in the game that those interceptions came, because it could have been a deciding factor in the game. But we're going to get off of Jameis. We're going to focus on Derek Carr. So I say that to say that when Derek Carr when I figured out that we was first getting him, I was okay with it, right? I knew that things might be a little rocky to start off just because of new system, new coaching and things like that. But I thought that maybe we would catch rhythm. But as time went on, and I remember talking to a few Las Vegas fans, and they was like, oh, man, you could have him, this, that, and the third. I'm like, oh, man, we going to show you how good of a quarterback he is. And when we got him, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, man, I'm thinking that we finna be getting an upgrade, and we didn't. Like I say, when you look at the years that we had with Derek Carr, we haven't made the playoffs since Drew Brees has retired, for one. But under Derek Carr, we haven't made the playoffs. Under Derek Carr, we haven't been above 500. And I know some people are going to say, oh, well, it was the coaching change, the offensive coordinators. Man, every team in the NFL deals with these same problems. Every team deals with injuries. Every team deals with coaching changes. Every team deals with personnel changes from players and things of that nature. So we can't continue to give these teams these excuses. We've seen some teams, start the season off horribly, but made the adjustments necessary and took their game to the next level. Prime example, look at the Baltimore Ravens, how bad they started the year off. They made a few tweaks and adjustments through the coaching, and guess what? They was able to kind of turn the script around, and they look like a completely different team to finish the season off compared to how they started the season. So I say that to say, when you got the right players in place and the right pieces there, you can make that happen. But when you have a quarterback who just does not show up when it matters the most, then it's only so much that you can do. Like, prime example, you take this year. We play week 1, we play Carolina Panthers. Man, we dominate Carolina. Man, I think we set maybe 2 or 3 records for the Saints. And guess what? We go to the Cowboys. We dominate the Cowboys, right? And most people were saying to themselves, okay, man, this is our year, man. Everything is looking, up. And I'm telling everybody, be patient. We play 2 teams that are struggling to find an identity as of right now. So, of course, it's easy to walk over those 2 teams. It's easy to make Derek Carr look like he's a top-tier quarterback in the NFL when you're going up against 2 broken defenses, right? Now, when the games matter the most, we go up against a team like Atlanta. And look at how Atlanta struggled. It was no way Atlanta was supposed to win that game. We lost that game. Then you look at the game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and it just was a down spiral after that. And it showed you exactly who Derek Carr is. He's one of those guys who just can't show up when it matters the most. And here's my thing. Look at Derek Carr's career as a whole. I haven't looked at him from college. I haven't analyzed college. I'm talking about NFL, what he did at Las Vegas and what he has done with the New Orleans Saints. Does he have a history? Does his track record, does his resume show winning wherever he went? It doesn't. right? So we know Derek Carr is an aging quarterback with his best years behind him. The best years for Derek Carr is behind him, right? But we tend to use the analogy, and this goes for the NFL as a whole, better the devil you know than the one you don't know. So you got guys like Derek Carr that plays, average, at below average, at best, right? And he doesn't struggle to get a job. He get a big contract. You got guys like Daniel Jones, who's below average quarterback, had one good year. He doesn't struggle to find a team, right? But you got guys that's coming out the draft that you will overlook because you saying to yourself, well, we know what they can do when the situation is perfect, right? So we've seen them have success in the National Football League. These rookies or these players that we haven't, we don't know what they can do. Well, if you really want to be honest, it's the same thing with those guys. It's only guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Josh Allen, guys like Joe Burrow, guys like Jalen Hurts, guys like Lamar Jackson. These are elite, Matthew Stafford. These are elite level quarterbacks, right? You know for the most part what you're going to get out of them from year to year, regardless if the situation around them, regardless if it's look at Kansas City this year, right? Kansas City throughout the year, you lose Rashee Rice, you lose a lot of different pieces, right? And they're still somehow managed to win, right? Every team deals with these problems, but the good teams, the great teams, they figure out ways. There's no excuses being made. You say injuries that hurt the Saints. Well, every other team is hurt just as well. So the excuses has to go out the window at some point. Sometimes the solution is just simple enough. You got some people that got it, and you got some that don't. And Derek Carr is one of those who don't. So you take a young guy like Spencer Rattler, right, who we don't know what he's capable of doing. We've seen him play maybe a little preseason. We've seen him play a few games here and there. He didn't look the best. Well, Derek Carr doesn't look the best. And he got, over 10 years in the NFL, so we can't go based off of that. We got to give him time to get into rhythm and to get into routine and adjust to the pace of the game in the NFL because it's a different ball game. Get more into the preparation aspect, get more into the developmental side. A lot of times that goes into coaching. So you want to take a guy like Derek Carr just because he got 10 plus years in the NFL, but then you're saying to yourself, okay, I don't have to be as good of a coach. I can just kind of expect him to come in and be able to do certain things, which he shows you that he just can't do. You put pressure in his face, he will fold time and time again. When it's time to play good football teams, he will fold time and time again. You take a guy like Spencer Rattler, you allow him to develop. You teach him, how to go through his progressions. You teach him how to, pre-snap reads, how to try to identify where the defense is in. You teach him to attack the soft points. What's the point of attack on this defensive coverage? What's the point of attack on this defensive coverage? And we don't know, right? I feel like guys like Derek Carr, you get a benefit. Okay, yeah, you get experience, but at the same time, that can also be a hindrance because though they've had 10 plus years for those bad habits to seep in and become embedded into them to where without them even knowing, they do. Right? When you take a younger player, you can rectify and adjust and erase some of those potential problems that they normally would do, the bad habits that they normally will have. But here's my thing. Now to kind of get off of the Derek Carr, I just wanted you guys to feel how I feel as a Saints fan when it comes to Derek Carr, because my thing is this. I know we like to play that what-if game, but let's just be honest. You take Josh Allen and put him on the New Orleans Saints, we go to the playoffs. I'm not saying on Super Bowl. You take Lamar Jackson, put him on New Orleans Saints, we go to the playoffs. You take Jalen Hurts, put him on New Orleans Saints, we go into the playoffs. Obviously, you take Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. You take all these guys, put them on the Saints, we're going to the playoffs. When you look at that roster, right, from the offensive side, from the defensive side, from the special team side, there's no way that the Saints as a whole screams no playoffs. You're not going to get me to believe that, right? So at some point, we have to realize that it is the captain, the leader of that team, which is Derek Carr. So obviously, if you're paying attention to the draft, you're familiar with everything that's going on with the draft, New Orleans Saints wise and just quarterback wise. It's been rumored that, we're in talks of getting Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart. Now, the Shedeur one is a big question mark, and this is the reason why. I'm not saying that I wouldn't love to have Shedeur, and it's not saying that I don't think Shedeur would be a benefit to us. I'm just saying I don't think that Shedeur will still be on the board. I mean, you got teams like the New York Giants who picked before us. Now, you might say, well, they went and got Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, so why would they do that if they're going to draft Shedeur? And that's a good question. You just never know. It could be because they want to put him behind veteran leadership to develop him. Then you look at teams like the Las Vegas Raiders who go and get Geno Smith. It could be the same thing there too. So I just don't think that Shedeur is going to still be on the board. So I go back and I look at Jackson Dart, right? I did a video about Jackson Dart, studying film on him, and there's a lot of things about Jackson Dart I like. For one, his size. For one, the game I looked at, he showed good pocket composure, able to be calm and relaxed in the pocket. Granted, NFL is a different ball game in terms of the pressure that he's gonna face, but I just think that he has the coach with Kellen Moore, and he has the pieces around him with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Johnson. Obviously, what we got in Alvin Kamara to be able to make these things happen, and then to have a pretty good defense, to be able to allow him to not have to feel too much pressure to go out there and make something happen, especially as a rookie. And we all know a rookie's quarterback, or even a quarterback in general, best friend, is, we always say, is a run game, but I always say a defense too, because it doesn't put much pressure on him to have to go out there and try to outperform the other team if we can't get stops consistently like we need to do. So looking at that, I say, okay, I like the option of a Jackson Dart, but then I still like the option of still having a guy like Spencer Rattler. Let's just say if we didn't get into either one of those guys, I just think that moving forward, we need to realize that Derek Carr is not our quarterback. Now, we can say, okay, since we done paid him this money, we want to keep him on as a backup, and hopefully there are things, because even his professionalism, he's good at that, and there's things that he can show the younger quarterbacks that could potentially help him. But other than that, as far as a starter, no, that's just not what it is. I think that now we need to move forward and start looking towards the future. And obviously, we know Derek Carr is just not the future. If you take his age in consideration, that's a big thing. But then for me, the most important aspect is his performance, because I'm not going to always equate age to success. You know what I mean? Because you got guys that have won in later years that didn't win as much in their earlier years, if you really want to be honest. So I'm not going to use that. I just go performance based, and over his body of work as a whole. How many times have we ever said within Derek Carr's career, well, he's been playing, that he was a top 5 or even possibly top 10 quarterback in the NFL? I don't know. That one right there, that's a head scratcher, because I don't ever remember hearing his name being in talks whenever we talk about elite quarterbacks in the NFL, and rightfully so. I just think that it's time for us to move forward and see what we can do, either with getting Jackson Dart or just the overall development of Spencer Rattler. I feel like it was moments where Spencer Rattler showed glimpses of what he can do, right? But given the opportunity and the situation, now you get a more offensive-minded coordinator with Kellen Moore. You look at obviously what he did with Philadelphia Eagles this past year. Granted, personnel is a little bit different, so we can't expect to emulate the exact results that Philadelphia had, but I think it's a step in the right direction getting him, opposed to getting Dennis Allen, who should have never been promoted to a head coach as well. And a lot of that falls under the ownership of the New Orleans Saints, which I think that is horrible. You know what I mean? Like I say, I don't think a lot of owners know ball. I know ball at the end of the day. I might not got the money to put the pieces around, but I know ball. And I know with certain players, they just ain't it, Chief. And Derek Carr is one of those guys that just isn't it. But when I seen this popped up when I was on my phone on Google, and I was like, man, I gotta address that. And finally I was able to get around to addressing it. So I mean, I'll go a little bit deep in detail in the future on it, but I just wanted to kind of address it temporarily until we can figure out exactly what it is that we're gonna do quarterback wise. Like, I talked to a lot of New Orleans Saints fans, and they say, okay, man, we got this, or man, we need to go try to get that. And I keep telling them the most important thing, man, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Until we figure out what's going on with our quarterback situation, we're not doing anything positive, honestly, until we can identify what's going on there. Once we can identify what's going on there, and then everything else can fall into place, and hopefully we'll be content. You'll be in contention for a playoff spot, whether it's a wild card or whether it's a bye. But that's just my opinion, man. If you feel differently, let me know in the comments, because I'm always interested to hear other people's takes on things, because you might put some to my attention that I didn't know. But if you're going to make up excuses of, well, it was the coaching change, or it was injuries, this, that, and the third, then I'm not going to bother to entertain that, because like I said, once again, everybody in the NFL out of 32 teams are dealing with the same problems. So that's no excuse, But if you have actual things that you feel and that could have been factual, man, make sure you let me know that down in the comment section below, man. But, like I said, if you enjoyed this video, do me a big favor, man. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, or if you've been watching my videos this whole time and you haven't already, I don't know why, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, make sure you got that notification bell on there where you'll be notified every time I upload, man, because I've been keeping up with everything, all NFL draft as of right now with the quarterbacks, and then I'm going to stay updated on everything that's going on with the Saints, man. So you don't want to miss that. So as long as you got the notification bells on, you will be notified every time I upload, and I'll see y'all in the next video.